Hey guys, it's Dave. Welcome to part 2 of Hoyas that break the bank. You do not have to have seen part 1 for this one to make any sense. It's just more great Hoya with the spin that a new very favorite Hoya is coming at the tail end of this video. Do not skip ahead and see what that is. As I did mention in part 1, I'm just talking about what most people would consider expensive starter plants. Not, $1,000 or $2,000 a node, but these 14 plants that I'm showing collectively would set you back over $1,000. I would think most people would call that expensive. Hardcore collectors out there that have to have the latest and greatest irradiated or toxin-induced variegated plant would scoff at that price tag, but for us normal folk, that seems like quite a lot of money. And I was working at a friend's nursery. I was paid in kind with Hoya, so there was a clear advantage for me in getting these. Sometimes when I know I'm getting a free plant, oftentimes when I know I'm getting a free plant, I'll take a chance on one just because I think it looks cool or it seems to be relatively rare, etc. And sometimes that can potentially backfire when I don't do any research on its care. This is the species Affinity Lambii, named after the late Anthony Lamb. We just lost him this year, January 31st, at age 86. He co-wrote that book, what's it called? A Guide to Hoya Borneo or something like that. The one that's on Amazon right now for over $4,000. If you have an extra copy. But Doug Chamberlain says this one is damn near impossible to grow and it should be for completists only. So here we go. Let's see what he had to say about this. If he had anything specifically useful. Oh, the only thing that I wrote down that was of note is that the blooms last for one day and it happens to be overnight. So I will be growing this one for the foliage. Now, he struggled growing his, although he said it's easier than the Lambii. So there is that. But he has struggled growing Hoya that I have found no problem at all. We've all had that experience where we have a plant that is absolutely no sweat and somebody else can't keep it alive for anything. So I'm hoping for me that's going to be the case. These get very sun stressed. They're very cool looking, pterodactyl looking. I really think a lot of this plant already. Excited to see this grow successfully in my collection. I failed to mention the price. You're looking at about $80 shipped on this from a reliable source. I mentioned in the first video, when I say reliable source, it's going to be someone I know, like Crazy Plant Gal or April at Unsolicited Plant Talks, Rick Marrera at Rick and Swiffer's Hoyas. I am probably not going to be taking many chances on unknown Hoya sellers from here out. I've had some pretty poor experiences. I'm at the point of a collection that's large enough and valuable enough that don't want to bring in someone's root mealybugs, which I recently, I unpotted a little starter plant and it had root mealybugs. So for all the people who tell you don't repot your plants until it's settled in your house, that would have been shit advice. But don't listen to me, what do I know? Anyway, I'm very excited to add this into the collection. It does get a lot more sun stressed if I didn't mention that, but I think this is an incredibly cool plant. Even if I never see it bloom, even if it does get to bloom and it happens overnight and I miss it, I don't care. Very cool looking plant. And here we have the magnificent Stanaki Dark. This is extinct in Papua New Guinea, where Natalie Simonson discovered it due to logging. You'll usually see it misspelled because she named it after the father of some children who have financed many of her endeavors, and the Swedish alphabet didn't jibe with what's allowed botanically. So I will put the correct spelling on the screen. I'm sure you've already seen it, and the formerly known. So if you want to do a search for it, it's an expensive plant. You're going to be looking at, in the $100 range shipped, something like that. It joins the Magillary family of plants. So those huge, just massive blooms. I feel honored and so lucky to have this, and blessed that it was also free. Well, my labor's not free, I guess, but I was paid with this potentially magnificent plant right now, just a cute starter. If you're looking to spend a little money, expand your collection into collector Hoya, why not this one? Next up, we have an undescribed species from Sumatra. This is the Tangamas. And it's one of those classic Hoya that if you give it more light, you're going to get more dramatic veining and thicker leaves as the plant needs to store more water. If you give it less lighting, you'll get much bigger leaves, thinner, and you won't have as vivid a veining, but the leaves can get up to 10 inches. So you kind of pick your poison. I am going to try to go in between and give it moderately bright light and see where we're at. It's been getting quite bright light, but I think I would almost rather have those 10-inch dagger leaves than really prominent veining. I can look at my Calistophylla black cad or species Kalimantan if I really want to look at veining, but those aren't going to get, that black cad probably has 10-inch leaves at least. That's for another video. But this is a really cool plant. It's been on my wish list for a while. It's my friend's favorite Hoya, or one of her favorite Hoyas, who's got a very, 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 very large collection. Probably definitely the largest in the Midwest. So excited to have this one and grow it out. Like I said, it's expensive. If you get a really nice example like this one, you'd be lucky to find it for $75 plus shipping from, again, a trusted source. So worth considering if you want to spend a little scratch. I'm going to apologize if you can hear them cutting concrete outside my house. I have set up for this video 5 times to film, and I just can't do it a 6th time. I just cannot. So I hope it doesn't ruin the video. If it does, I guess I won't publish part 2, but I just can't do it again. I need to put these plants back where they belong and leave them there to grow. So anyway, moving on. If you're anything like me and you're thinking, rare Hoya, where do they come from? Well, Wales, of course, right? Here is one from the Welsh Mountain Zoo, which has something like, I think, 37 acres of lush botanical loveliness. This is the species for WMZ. I've had a darker red example of this that I traded in for this one. That one didn't have any roots on it. Another thumbs up for immediately getting a plant into your preferred substrate, because that's how I found out that there were no roots. And it's a very, very thick leaf. So it would have been a long time before I discovered that plant was in trouble. Like the stem would have been dead probably by that time. But this is a really lovely, pretty rare plant. I think it's going for $55, $75, plus shipping for a good one. This one node, one leaf, I think it was priced at $55. Obviously looking forward to growing this one up. I am taking other people's words for it. I think maybe April said it's very durable for household conditions. Like any plant that I just get and it's a starter plant, it goes into the tent because I can control the humidity and the light to the nth degree. And any plant that I want to grow, I put in there. So that would mainly be warm living plants over the winter and any starter plant. I know that a lot of people have luck growing a wide variety of plants in lower humidity homes, but I will say something I said in my earliest videos: there is no exception to a plant growing dramatically faster when I put it in the tent. Same lighting conditions, same PPFD So a specific lighting condition of the light the plant can use, and the only difference is that humidity. So you don't have to, but to get a plant going fast, I say the tent is the way to go. I've had so many growth tips die on certain types of Hoya when it gets low humidity in the winter. So that's where they go. And you're going to see, I did a little survey and a lot of people wanted to see a tent video. Let me show this to you again a little closer. And there are some pros and there are some cons and there are some things I've learned along the way. But getting a tent, probably the biggest difference in my growing, well, you know, what can you say besides experience is the number one thing, trusting myself, that kind of thing. But in terms of an ancillary device, yeah, the tent for sure has grown my plants up well. Now, not everybody's going to care how quickly their plants grow, but I also sell some plants. So anyway, species 4, Welsh Mountain Zoo. Cute little plant. This next one is just straight up wackadoo. This is Hoya Clemensiorum IML 1012. Would you look at this? Holy cow. That is real. I don't know if moving my head would help get the flavor of these bent leaves. And that's what they do. This has not been hung up on anything. They grow kind of corkscrewy and undulated and this. It's a very rare plant. You're probably not going to be able to find an awful lot of information about this. I think the only store I saw was that Hoya store Australia. I might be able to set you up if you're looking for one, but theme of this video, they're not cheap. This one, these 2 leaves, and I think I have 5, 6, 7 nodes, something like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. I will treat this just like I would any other Clemensiorum. Bright indirect light, and I've got it in my own substrate, and a little cheesy trellis there just to give it some support. It's sitting in front of a west window right now, and I pull the shear on sunny afternoons, and that's about it right now. But during the winter, or maybe even sooner, it will go into the tent to boost its growth. So I will have some of this next year, no doubt. I'm looking forward to growing this out because, I mean, she's just wackadoo, and that suits me. This is the dark form of a very common Hoya, the lobii. This one's a little less common. It's expensive, but it is not as expensive as some of the plants we've seen so far, especially that elephant in part 1, which is about a $150 plant. You can get one like this. Well, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nodes, so this one would be expensive, but you can get a 1 or 2 node for $50 plus shipping. This one would be considerably more expensive. Obviously, this was published way back in 1883. It was discovered by Joseph Dalton Hooker, and I'm going to put his picture up because I feel like if I were an explorer in the 1800s, and no, I was not alive in the 1800s, thank you, rude, that's what I would look like. I feel like I would carry that kind of style. This was named for Thomas Loeb, who with his brother owned a very famous nursery in the UK. I believe it's called the Vichy Nursery, as in anthurium and so forth and so on. He also did a few expeditions, but on his 4th one, he had to have his leg amputated, and that ended his expedition career. Why am I laughing? Because he's long dead, okay? He's long dead. Don't shame me. Anyway, this is a shrub-like plant. Incredibly tough plants. You can grow this one, you can grow the cheaper versions with the less cool flowers in normal household conditions. It's a subshrub, so you'll get a plant that can get, you know, reasonably tall, especially for an indoor plant. It'll be woody at the base, not as woody for the rest of the plant. Subshrub. I think Doug Chamberlain has one that's over 3 feet, one that's over 4 feet. He may have already chucked those over the riverbank as he used to be wont to do, but I'm very, very excited about this plant. I am going to grow this up into a huge plant. I'll share some of it with you guys, but the flowers on this, oh, good Lord have mercy. Cannot wait. Last but not least, let me preface this with, I'm not a fickle person. I don't switch allegiances quickly. I have friends I've known for years and years and years. I'm still on my first wife. Lucky her. I'm like a German Shepherd. I am very devoted to what I love. But I have a new Hoya. And my friend was such a dear to give me this. I'm not going to pick it up yet. I want to tell the story first. She showed it to me. I fell hard for it. And she got out a scalpel and then very, very carefully cut off one node, one leaf, and then handed me the plant. I could not believe it. And I did not say no. It is an unknown hybrid from A.H. Hoya called Serene. And oh my God, look at this plant. It can get sun-stressed redder than this. But I want you to take a look at these leaves here and this color. And then I'm going to put the flowers up. And please look at how they, one, how beautiful they are, but how they complement this sun-stressing. It is otherworldly. So for you Hoya heads out there, pretty tough to identify any Hoya by its leaves, but look at the flower. Look at these leaves. What are your thoughts? What might you think it's a hybrid of? I'll save my guesses because I don't like to sound dumber than I usually do on camera, and I am so bad at that. I would never be on Hoya ID and make a guess to a rare Hoya. I just wouldn't. There are real experts on there, so I try to save myself that embarrassment. But, you know, there we go. As much as you can have a brand new favorite plant, when I've got so many others, this is it. I am smitten. I have fallen hard. Is this an expensive plant? Oh my God, yes. Yes, it is. Rick Morera, Rick and Swiffer's Hoyas, puts one up for sale occasionally. Small starter plant, I think they're going for about 85 bucks, 15 bucks shipping. A plant larger like this one, I mean, I would not sell this plant for $150. I wouldn't even consider it. So that's how highly I think of this. If my wife were home and she heard me say that, I'm not saying divorce court, she might give me a talking to, but it is true. And I don't think she watches these videos anymore. I think she lives with plants, hears me talk about plants, and hears me talk about YouTube enough at this point. So I'm comfortable saying that unless somebody ponies up $200, this plant is not for sale. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad we got through this video with minimal noise from the road construction crew. Finally, come see me again in the next one real soon, okay? Bye-bye.